recording in
Yeah.
progress. Yeah.
Yeah. It warns me to be on my best behavior.
Yeah. Now we must behave. Right. Yeah. It's good to meet you, and it's very nice that you take the time to do the to talk a bit about your music and the album. Very nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's my pleasure. Now, in the U.S., sometimes your name is pronounced Joachim. Is it Joachim or Joachim, or is it
It's Joachim. It's
Joachim?
yeah, Joachim. But you can also
Joachim.
say Joe. Joe, if
Joe.
it's yeah, it's
Joe's easy enough.
yeah. I was surprised when I realized that you had a new video and a new song out because um, the Pomps have done this album, I think, in 2012, and then the EP, but you didn't go a lot on tours or something. What is behind the band?
Well, the band started in like 2010, out of the sort of ashes of another project,
Yeah.
and it was like conceived originally as like pretty much just a straight up two-tone band. And so we made that first record super quickly, like probably within, a few months of even meeting up. And it actually did some stuff at the time. We played a lot of shows and people were happy with it. Um, and then I started touring with some other bands, and then I had a child, and so we put it on the back burner for a while, but we still went in and we did a bunch of EPs. Like we always, from 2016 onward, we still try to get in the studio once every 18 months or so. So
Mhm.
even though we weren't active in the modern sense, we we still kept up something resembling a schedule. And the idea, the philosophy is bands should not break up no matter what. Even if you have to take time, don't don't ever call it final. Don't call it
Ah,
the end.
that's a good thing because a lot of bands burn out, do maybe a lot of touring, but then can't can't anymore, and then break up, and so yeah. And you also when you said you just had a few months that you went were together, but you had a distinctive sound. You had a special sound that I think that was something that everyone heard who comes from the ska scene. That when you listen to the Pomps, there was something special going on, some edge that was different. Was it planned, or is it just the connection of the people in the band?
Well, it's two things. One, of course, it's planned because you'd have to be insane to start a ska band at that time. There's no business incentive, so you have to want to do it. And going and playing the standards of the genre and just sounding like every other band didn't appeal to me. It wouldn't have been a good use of mine or anybody else's time. Um, and so in that sense, it's deliberate. And the other sense, the guiding philosophy, and this should be the guiding philosophy of any project, is that you make the music that you want to listen to. You don't, because you can't control whether or not people are going to like it. You certainly cannot control whether or not people are going to give you money. There's very little money out there for people to give you. So in the end, you've got to be happy knowing that you've got 100 copies of this thing in your basement and nobody might ever hear it. You got to be the one that likes it. And that's the reason. It's just a mishmash of the things that we enjoy. And this time, late in the game, it worked out that some other people wanted to hear it too. But that's we've always been true to that, and I actually spent a good amount of money making this album. Like I won't lie, and
Mhm.
and the reason why I did that is because I knew there was a good chance I was going to be the only one that ever got to listen to it, and so it had to be good. That was the idea.
Yeah.
Is and I still listen to it. I ride my bike 25 miles a day, and I still listen to it at least once a day because if I'm not going to like it, who else is going to?
Yeah. But I'm quite sure that there many people out there who like it and appreciate your persistence with going on and doing something that sounds different. I mean, um, I listened to the album today a few times again, and I think one thing that struck me was that they use different chords than other bands in the ska context. At least the ska bands that I know, I'm not too familiar with some of the American ska bands, but yeah, that I found that striking. I found the sounds, the guitar sounds striking. The bass player plays with a pick, which is quite unusual too. Maybe.
He plays with a pick, he plays with a pick, and he also plays long, stringy walking lines. He does not do like a lot of ska bass. First of all, yeah, you're right. A lot of it's with the thumb or with the fingers, and a lot of it is short, syncopated, leaving a lot of space. But we keep it very stringy up and down the neck. And he's free to play different lines every verse. It's not,
You
you know,
see
I
a lead bass. He plays lead bass sometimes.
that is how I describe it. We are working with lead bass, and very proud to do so.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes the songs start and you don't think it's a ska song from the beginning.
Yeah.
At some point the offbeat comes in, is introduced. What was it? Let's say at I think Temporary States. Does it
Yep.
begin with some chorus flanger guitar and the
Oh, I think that's Liquidator.
that's
Uh,
possible too. Yes. Yeah, yeah.
well, we're not opposed to using the same trick twice. So, but it's no. I mean, basically, Temporary States. When you're talking about the idea, the intro to that, the idea is definitely the Clash's first album. That is the idea.
Hmm.
The Tommy gun snare and the big da 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 da. Da. It's Strummer Jones is definitely the thing there. But yeah, I mean, they all kind of um like every song's always going to have an upbeat. Like we're never going to not put it in there. Like we're committed to it, but we may hide it, and that's not going to be for everybody. Like there's some people who they don't have time to dig into it. They just need to know that they're listening to ska, and that's what's going to make them happy. And they're not going to like the band very much because it's not. If you need to relive the '90s or the two tone era, or you want to play dress up, it's not a good band for you. It's just
Yeah.
it's not for everybody. And honestly, that's why I worry about. I don't know how it can do in England, in Europe, because those are very revivalist cultures, especially Germany. I mean, I played the Freedom Sounds Festival a number of times with another band, and that's a revivalist atmosphere. And so
Yeah.
I hope we can sneak into to some of that stuff, but I'm very prepared for the possibility that we won't.
With which bands did you play Freedom Sounds?
Void Union.
Ah, you played with Void Union. I was there too, and it was a really great performance. And you played guitar there, or did you
Yep.
play?
Yep, I've been the guitar player for a pretty long time for that band.
Yeah.
And then I also play guitar for Westbound Train and for Big D, which is a ska punk band.
Mm. Yeah. I
But
lived.
those bands haven't been to Freedom Sounds, at least not on my watch.
No, no, and I know that they would like to have Westbound Train, but I mean it's not easy to get them to Europe, I think.
Well, yeah, it's not. Yeah, well, it's not easy to get anybody here. I mean, the Pomps is the most viable idea for that, just by simple dint of the fact that there's only four of us.
Hmm.
And so yeah, but anyway, I'm not making a case for or against the Pomps going to Europe, but I it's more I'm wondering aloud if these cultures that are still sort of trying to explore the old school stuff want to bother with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with not wanting to either. I have no problem.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see well, I don't see Freedom Sounds as much as a revivalist festival as maybe others are, because they try to do new stuff too, but they're also very in some traditionalist bands,
No,
some bands with these old sounds
and
they
and maybe revivalist is the wrong word. Maybe preservationist is the right word.
okay, yeah.
And that and I think that's equally valid.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it, you know, there's a lot of that in ska and reggae culture is an obsession with authenticity. And the problem with that is when it comes to playing those, I'm not necessarily authentic. I'm not a Jamaican. I'm not a British person going through the early days of Thatcherism. You know, I'm a
Mhm.
relatively middle class Jewish guy from Boston. And so those that sort of governs the journey a little bit.
Mhm. Um, yeah, I wonder sometimes how it comes that so many people are yeah, it's there's really what you say obsessed with sounds, some bass sound, and but they're not so much obsessed with writing good songs or something new. And so that's what I like about your band, that you try to do stuff differently or in a
That's
way.
that's the goal. And again, I mean, you know, to hammer the point home, it's just about making music that you would listen to. You
Mm,
being me.
yeah.
Um,
And one thing that struck me too about the band is I thought that you are the driving force because yeah, you play guitar in other bands and so on, and but the songs are written as a collective, or is it just on the credits or
uh,
so?
it 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 depends. The collective is always open. There have been many collective songs. This one, the record was recorded during a really big COVID spike in the Boston area, and so we didn't get together as much as we would have liked. So I feel comfortable saying I drove the bus a little more this time.
Mhm, mhm.
It was a little less collaborative, but the some of the record's best moments are from the collaboration. And I don't tell people what part to play generally. That's sort of so even if we're working from something I brought in, like the I remember there was one bass part that I just asked the engineer if it was okay because it wasn't what my ears were thinking. He goes, "Yeah, it's great," and then we keep letting it. That's the only time I even looked at somebody else's playing on the entire thing. Everybody else is allowed to choose their own overdubs, choose their own instrument, like what keyboard Casey wants to use. So it's collaborative in that sense for sure. There's no benign dictatorship going on.
Mhm.
But people, but it's also it works because it's a band full of very smart people, and people know if something's not broken, you don't fix it. Like you know, if the part that I came in with was good enough, I'm gonna play it because we can move on and we can do the. It's a very efficient band.
Yeah, so basically everyone recorded at home and sent the stuff to.
No. This it's a live record. The rhythm section is totally live.
Is it?
We went,
Wow.
yeah, no. I mean, in fact, there's bleed. Like, there's not the the door to the guitar booth was open, so there's bleed in the overhead mics. The organ bleeds. The organ speakers in the same room. It is a very live record. It's just for writing, we wanted to minimize the time that we got together, so that we didn't contract
Hmm.
COVID and then have to cancel the studio.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, the studio was the moment that we were building towards. So it was the writing that was separate, but the playing was very much yeah, and that's actually how I think we've pretty much always done it. Like I don't think we've ever done a record where we go one at a time. Not for this band. It's like it's live
Oh,
with bleed.
that's
The organ mic is a drum room mic too. So yeah, it's you have to play it right. You can't fuck up. You can, but you gotta only so many times.
but in a nice way, in a good way. maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, we really try not to. I mean, we
Wow, and I was today I was thinking when listening to some of this stuff, is it programmed something, because it's really straight and it's really tight.
it's on a click. Like, I mean, you know, we do prefer to track with a metronome.
Mhm. Yeah, but
Our drummer purposely plays very simple. You know, I will say, like, uh, you know, something like the song "Fire in the Neighborhood." Like, I mean, that's essentially our Kraftwerk song. Like, we do some German influence. We do we like synth pop and Depeche Mode. And so it we are not afraid of it sounding like a little metronomic or robotic,
Mhm.
but we also, like, we'll turn off the metronome sometimes in the middle of a take too. It's we're not afraid of push and pull, but
Mhm.
we we like to play tight. It's, again, a lot of the music we listen to is like that.
And yeah, talking about the music you're listening to, or the music that influenced the Pomps sound, what would you is are there any bands or records that you talked about the Clash, but other records that is that are
Yeah,
something that.
I mean, the biggest ones. I mean, there's like two XTC records that are pretty important,
Mhm.
or three really. Like, I'd say Drums and Wires, Black Sea, English Settlement. Those three extremely important. And Skylarking is like my favorite of theirs, but I'm not going to say it's too it's too good to be an influence on the Pomps. I mean, it's as good as any Beatles record. It's an influence, but you could never hope to recreate that one.
Mhm.
And then we love the Stone Roses. Stone Roses are you know, and I think a lot of the stringy bass stuff comes from that.
Mhm.
Um, and then you know, Kraftwerk is definitely an influence as well. I listen to them a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and you know, for the first record way back, I mean, really, it's funny. We were kind of trying to recreate the Specials a lot. I think, like, a lot of the guitar
Yeah, I mean,
stuff having a
it
stab
sounds
on two and three.
really different, and then you had some brass guests on brass too, for the first record.
For the first, we decided to stop doing that. You know, managing horns is hard. They don't stay in tune. It's and it's just, there's enough horn oriented ska out there that we don't
Yeah,
need to do it.
yeah,
But it was fun to have what we did.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's very good to have a four-piece band and not seven or eight guys in the band. So if you want to travel and yeah, and for the yeah, in 1 week the record will be out.
Yep, there's going to be another single tomorrow. Um,
Okay.
and
Will that
then
be a
next week,
video too?
there, yeah, it just came into my email box, so I got to look at it. But yes, there is a video.
Yeah.
We'll see that it meets with everybody's approval, but I believe there will be a video.
Mhm.
And then but very different than the first one. Like not a performance video. Um, and then, yeah, next week it streams in full. People who have ordered records, at least in
Mhm.
the US, are getting them. I don't know exactly what plan, if any, there is for the vinyl to be available in Europe. You know,
Yeah,
but I would love for it to be.
yeah. And so how did the connection to Bad Time Records come? I thought that when I heard the name Bad Time Records, I thought it was just the label of a cat bite, or
Well, it was
did they start the label and then say on it?
no. The label is started by Mike, who's in Kill Lincoln, which is a ska punk band. And so
Mhm.
he puts out records, but it was Tim from Catbite who put us together, because we're friends. He claims that the Pumps is an influence on Catbite. I don't know if that's true, but
If he says
at
so.
least at least instrumentation wise, it is. I think they've got their own thing. I just wouldn't want to take any credit for what they've put together on their own. But yes, so he brought us together. I didn't think that they were gonna say yes. I thought they were probably gonna stick to something a little punkier,
Mhm.
but it worked out. And so it's cool. We're kind of the weird uncles of their roster. Little older, little more eclectic.
Yeah, and so, and if you listen to ska music, what I mean, I hear that there are other influences than ska, but when you listen to ska music, is there anything contemporary or older that you like to
Oh, I
listen
mean,
to?
I love the Slackers. I hired them to play my wedding. I mean, you
Mhm.
know, and it's
That's a
not
state.
technically ska, but the Agrolites have always been fantastic. Um, and then I mean, I like a lot of the new bands that I've
Mhm.
seen too in the traditional world. I mean, um, I I think that LA's always had a good scene. You know, Steady 45s are great, and then
Mm.
I like I like for the bad time ska punk bands. I like that they're relatively song forward. I mean, I think We Are the Union made a lot of strides from sort of being um, more of sort of a less than Jakey melodic hardcore type thing to more of like a pop band, and I respect that a lot.
Mhm.
And then I grew up going to shows in the '90s, so I saw like all of the ska bands in their prime. I saw the Toasters. I saw the real Scatolites with now that it's not real now, but I saw Roland,
Yeah,
Tommy,
I know I saw them in the
um,
90s too, yeah, with uh, Roland
and
Alfonso still and
yep,
Tommy McCook.
and obviously like Hepcat is a very important band.
Mm.
I think so. I mean, yeah, it's like far from renouncing ska. It's a huge part of my life. I just think that like
Yeah.
those bands, they're doing such a good job doing that. I don't need to do it. You don't need to hear that from me.
Mm.
I don't think the lyrics I write really works over that style too. So I kind of stay away from it.
Yeah.
And
That's something that was interesting to me too. That the lyrics are they have none of these things that other ska bands sometimes talk about a song about dancing or
well, there's songs that, yeah, well, there's a lot of songs about dancing. I think one of the things that was very obnoxious in the '90s was you kind of had two choices. You had the Southern California guy in a Hawaiian shirt, and like a cap, sort of like talking about random, basically like singing about American movies. And then the other thing was sort of like a guy in a Fred Perry and braces, like telling you that you had to know your roots, even though he was like a white guy from Connecticut.
yeah.
And I just think all that shit was pretty stupid. I think you need to use songs as a platform to tell stories or make a point. And
Mm.
I think more and more bands are doing that now. And I also I stay away from personal stuff for the most part. Not 100%, but I like to I like to sort of paint a more general and in this case more optimistic picture. Like I don't do anything confessional. I don't really sing about my life because my life's not that interesting.
You said, yeah, if I maybe it's good to tell some stories and some stories maybe also in the books that you sell. Sometimes it's good to find stories from books and they don't need to be about yourself. And yeah, so yeah, I was still talking about your lyrics. So what are there any songs that stand out to you that are more important to you from the lyric wise?
Oh, not necessarily. I think there are, well, for instance, like like the first song on the record is just about the joy of taking your children on public transportation, killing a day, on a bus and a train. And that's a what and it's something that's important to me. I don't know, it's less
Climb
so in Germany, but
climb
in
aboard.
yes, and in America we have a really toxic and terrible automobile culture. Um, and I mean, not it. Obviously, you still have that in Germany, but you've at least not let the cars completely take over your cities.
Yeah. Uh,
Whereas here, it's terrible. So there's a little ode to that. There's a lead on We is a very funny song. It's about a part on my wife's car getting stolen. A catalytic converter. Somebody got under the car and sawed it off, and
mhm.
so it's kind of a stupid song about like going across the world, like sending us spies to get your car part back. Um, and then Rug Pull is kind of about NFTs and crypto and how that is a terrible culture.
Yeah.
Apologies to you if you own cryptocurrency. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's just not
Yeah.
what I do.
I don't. You
Um, it's
not yet.
I have friends who do. It's fine. People get too wound up, but it's like it's stupid. It's fake. It's fake money.
Mm,
Um, and then a lot of the songs are just about like the funny minutia of being in a band. Like
mhm.
decent skin is just a composite of like it's an exaggeration of all the stupid people in the music industry I've ever met, like with their ideas of how you're going to get attention. And so I think that is a fun one for me. Like none of those stories are true on their own, but together they paint a picture of
Mm.
what these people are like. Basically like making you embarrass yourself in front of all your connections to get like one, two more Facebook followers. It's stupid. And then I really like towards the end of the album, there's an instrumental that's really fun too,
Which one?
called Pirate, Totally Relaxed. And
Ah,
that's
yeah.
the second to last song, and that's a fun one too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just to sort of play more of the skinhead reggae genre.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think yeah, one song was in the later parts. Uh, I'm not sure whether no, it was one of the further one that had this song had more of these chords that you would expect in a ska song. But yeah, it's yeah, all in all, I think yeah, I'm really interested to know how the record is accepted um, in the US and abroad maybe too. I mean, I hope you can come to Europe with the record or at the
Yeah,
time.
I mean, it's always the goal, but the difference is now. When I was younger, I would go over there to try to create demand, but now I would only be interested in trying to meet demand. So if people want it, we're
Mm,
happy to. Germany's a little different. Like I go to Germany about once a year anyway.
uh-huh.
And I'm planning on taking my family. So we might pop over there, and we're more likely to go do a show and lose money there than somewhere else. So that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Um,
So where do
but
you go in Germany? To different places?
well,
Is it-
I haven't been well. Basically, through a weird law, I have a German passport. We don't need to explain the whole thing, but it's very rare to be a dual national, and I am.
Mhm.
And so um, originally in 2020 for my 10th wedding anniversary, we were going to take a long trip over there, but then COVID came. So we're still trying to get off our back foot and reschedule that. I think um, I'd I'd like to do a little more of the eastern part of the country just because I've been to Cologne. Where are you, by the way?
In Cologne.
Cologne, yeah. So I've been to Cologne a lot, and I
Mm.
like it. And I've been to Munich a bunch. It's kind of boring, but so I think maybe a little more Berlin,
Yeah, Berlin.
Leipzig,
Yeah.
Dresden's cool.
Mhm.
So I think do a little more of that, and then I pick a random place that I really haven't that I haven't been to. Maybe I've never really been in the north of the country very much, so maybe something like that.
Hamburg is I guess you will like Hamburg if you
I've been
have.
to Hamburg. I've been to Hamburg a bunch. Yeah, and Hamburg is pretty cool. That'd be another good. So, I can see if we can somehow mash those two ideas together of pomps and getting this family vacation done.
Yeah, okay.
That would be super. That would be super cool. So we'll see. So I hold a candle for it as a possibility.
Okay. Yeah, so thanks for taking the time and all the best for the album and
Absolutely. Thank
for
you.
the next song that will be out. Yeah, hope to stay in contact and I will send you the video.
Nice, nice. Yeah, this is gonna go up on your site.
Okay,
Awesome.
okay. Have a good day.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.